Okay, so we've got lots of people joining us, which is very exciting. So welcome everyone if you are joining.
Welcome.
So we'll just do a few introductions, and we've got a few housekeeping things to get out of the way as well whilst everyone joins, and then we've got our speakers to give us a little chat. So everybody, welcome to the Care Necessities, a very well needed webinar, I think. So thank you so much for joining, and it's been great to see the interest that we've had in this event. And I think that the numbers alone speak volumes as to the importance of addressing this topic. This is definitely the most registrations we've had for an event from either of our organisations, I believe. So it's definitely showing how much it's needed. And for too long, too many of us have been held back by our mental struggles, myself included. And the more that we can normalise these kinds of conversations and normalise seeking help when we're struggling, the more empowered that we can all be.
Absolutely. We decided to set up this webinar because we know and ourselves have experiences with the challenges associated with mental health, particularly when working with animals. We wanted to create an open, honest, safe space for some of these issues to be spoken about and brought into the light, catalyze more conversations, and hopefully share some tools and experiences through our amazing speakers and panelists.
So firstly, introductions. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I work for Wild Welfare. And Wild Welfare is an international organisation working to drive forward welfare improvements for wild animals under human care across the globe. If you haven't heard of us before, because quite a few people haven't, then do check us out on our website and across social media. Now, I might be a little bit biased, but I do think that we do some pretty awesome stuff to help ensure that every captive animal under human care has the opportunity not just to survive, but to thrive.
And nice to meet you all. My name is Elliot and I work with the Asia for Animals Coalition. Asia for Animals is not only Asia's largest, but the world's largest animal protection and advocacy network by membership. We have 24 core members representing some of the most well-known animal protection groups in the world, along with a further 270 member organizations who all have a focus on helping animals in Asia. We have a dedicated team of 12 people across 5 countries with 2 new positions currently advertised, so check out our webpage. We bring organizations together to cooperate on issues and to be a shared voice for wildlife and animals through our working groups, focusing on issues such as farm animal welfare, dog and cat welfare, demystifying policy for organizations, combating online social media animal cruelty, and a group dedicated to capacity enhancement to help NGOs achieve their missions for animals. And personally, I lead a working group dedicated to supporting wildlife sanctuaries and rescue centers across Asia.
Okay, so how is our event going to work today? Well, firstly, we have 2 phenomenal speakers who are going to take us through various aspects of mental health awareness, from what is mental health and how we deal with compassion fatigue and burnout, and also giving us some insights into how we can hopefully take with us into our day-to-day work. Elliot, did you want to mention about Vic? Elliot, are you there? You're on mute.
Unconveniently. But I was just going to say, sadly, Dr. Vic Mahone has fallen ill and can't join us, but I did want to still do his introduction. Dr. Vic is a medical doctor, a conservation practitioner, educationalist and life coach who works to support the well-being of conservationists and leaders after seeing and experiencing the challenges they face in their missions to save the natural world, and how this affects mental health and their capacity to continue their work. His work is truly inspiring and filling a massive gap in this sector. So if you would like to learn more about his work, see the link that is being placed in the chat now, and we wish him a speedy recovery.
Okay, so we want everyone to make sure that this event is open and accessible for everyone. So there will be opportunities to ask questions and provide comments on your own experiences. Now, obviously, this event may deal with some topics which might be slightly triggering or difficult to discuss. So if you would like to remain anonymous but ask a question, then please tick the anonymous box in the Q&A function, or to comment anonymously in the chat section, then select to send your message to go to hosts and panelists, and then we can read out your comments anonymously. Now, each speaker will have the opportunity to answer questions after their presentation. So we'll have the speakers and then a little Q&A after each of those. And then after the speakers are done, then we will have our panel session where we will answer questions with the panelists about experiences. And there may also be the opportunity for you guys to ask your own questions there as well. So do feel free to put all your questions and comments in the Q&A and the chat. So this event is also being recorded, and we can make resources for people to be able to watch again, and these recordings should go out on both Wild Welfare and Asia for Animals YouTube channels within the next few weeks. Before we go on to our very first speaker, I am going to hold my hand up and right off the bat say that I really struggle sometimes with my mental health. So there are quite a few different issues that float around inside my head, but the primary one is the fact that I have a very severe phobia. Now, ironically enough, this is actually a phobia of an animal, and it causes extreme panic attacks, intense anxiety, and it's something so far that can only be controlled rather than cured, sadly. And this is despite all the things that I've done, all my attempts to rid myself of it. And for years, it has held me back, and it's something that is very much a part of who I am. But at the end of the day, I don't want it to define me or how I conduct my work, because it does sometimes impact my work. So finding the right support system has really helped immensely in being able to cope with my phobic issues, and also not being ashamed of speaking up about it, making sure that people understand the differences between fears and phobias, and making sure that, yeah, I don't feel embarrassed or ashamed to bring it up and make people aware, A, of the phobia itself and how it impacts me, but also B, the best course of action for everyone around me to take when my phobic tendencies arise.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing that really honest account of your own mental health challenges. I think for many of us, mental health, whether it be a phobia, neurodivergence, depression, anxiety, PTSD, our capacities to cope varies from person to person, and nobody's experience or challenge look exactly the same, and one's lived experience cannot be easily compared to another. I too, like perhaps many joining today, pushed through my own mental health struggles for a very long time, and still do, both inside and outside of my work life. I always used to say, the animals or someone else had it worse off than I did, so suck it up, mate. But you can truly see the worst of humankind some days when you work with rescued wildlife. Let's not start sharing horrid stories of the situations many people in the audience may have seen with animals, but let's acknowledge working in this sector isn't always easy. Animal people are empathetic by their nature, and the sheer scale of suffering and exploitation is horrendous from, say, the wildlife trade. And seeing this along with constant death of those you can't save takes its toll. Add on to that the continued stress of trying to find resources for your mission, and perhaps personal and mental issues outside of work can be really tough. You may also be far from home, from your normal support network. Your friends and family are not close by, and you don't feel like you should burden your work colleagues who are probably dealing and seeing with the same things you are. So you keep pushing yourself because you often don't know what else to do or think that you shouldn't complain. But by pushing through, eventually you are help to no one, and you become even less help to the animals. I have sadly seen many colleagues suffer from the weight of these issues on their shoulders, feeling unable to do enough. And to be frank, I did too, until the point where I had a complete and utter mental breakdown and was diagnosed with PTSD, which was the worst, but also one of the most valuable things I've ever been through. That's not a recommendation for anyone to go through that, but it was exceptionally dark times, but it did provide a lot of insight and new perspectives, and a point maybe too late in which to seek help. So Sarah and my experiences are not rare or the exception. Through my conversations with people in sanctuaries and rescue centres across Asia and around the world, this is an issue across culture and across time. This is not a new issue. This isn't a global north issue. This is really common, but it is always pushed to the shadows because we need to focus on the animals or the societal or cultural perceptions that we are not allowed to talk about. So today we really want to highlight that mental health is an issue affecting many people from different cultural backgrounds and experiences. It's okay not to be okay. And if you want to look after animals and push your mission to help animals forward, you need to look after yourself too.
Yeah, thanks, Elliot, for sharing that and those perspectives. It's very powerful when we do share. It can be very cathartic, actually, to share our own experiences
Absolutely.